Danielle Harris and Dwight H. Little reunite for a new film, Natty Knox, after a 30-year break. First time since the fourth Halloween. Did it pay off? Let's discuss it. Nice now. Starlet's Dwight Little is the director, and the cast includes Danielle Harris, Bill Moseley, Robert Englund, and Charlotte Fenton Jardine. How are you, guys? Here is a brand new horror review for 2023. I was completely unaware of this movie until a few weeks ago. I recently learned that Dwight Little and Danielle Harris had been reuniting since Halloween 4, which was more than 30 years ago. I suppose this was the big news. Quite thrilling. And I'll be honest, the trailer for this movie, Natty Knox, didn't look good at all. That seemed like an old ghost story to me. Where do you suppose the stories originated? I'm not sure. Perhaps she lives on because of them. The hell is happening here with you joining, really? Furthermore, I am aware that many trailers are created independently of the actual filmmakers. Typically, a company will create the trailer, edit it jointly, and release it. You know, I suppose they understand what the sizzle is to entice viewers to watch it burn in theaters. However, there isn't actually any sizzle. Looking at this caravan, I was a little scared because it just screams low budget. The good news is that the movie is better than the trailer, so I suppose I can start here. Alright. I can assure you that the current version is superior to the trailer, but still not perfect. Okay, so let me give you a brief synopsis of the plot before we continue. Before we get started, guys, make sure you subscribe to Drum Domes Extra. My second channel is that one. That's where I post a lot of my, DD live clips and stuff. It's not reviews, but I like to unbox everything, even if it's still mostly horror related. Drop downs more, then. I'll leave a card, please visit and subscribe to that channel. This mythology is known as Natty Knox. The film premieres in 1976. She was essentially an inexpensive horror film actress, similar to the mother in The Final Girls, who was a scream queen in the 1980s. She's not exactly a scream queen, though. You know, she's doing these B-level horror flicks, and then things get hard. She was no longer receiving parts. Eventually, she turns into a prostitute, and her son, Nate Knox, is living under the bed and doing all kinds of weird things. To cut a long tale short, she is burned after being charged with witchcraft. She is having affairs with all of these married men. They are paying her because, well, she is a prostitute. Eventually, they label her a witch, which is a bit of a stretch, particularly in the 1970s. You're going to accuse someone of being a witch merely because they are a whore. Prostitutes were plentiful in the 1970s and probably still are now. Here, we are then introduced to our main cast in the present day. The primary cast of this film consists primarily of these young children. We are with them most of the time. Wyatt and Jolie, you got this brother and sister. Britt is their babysitter. Though, I suppose, the film is more of an ensemble piece, she serves as something of the main character. But Danielle Harris plays their mother. And because this is the first film in which Danielle Harris has starred alongside Dwight Little, I was a little concerned about how big of a role she would play. She isn't the main character at all, but I can still say it's significant. Although I wish we had spent more time together, I still find it to be satisfying. When I was watching this, the main thing on my mind was whether or not she still had the chops as an adult. To be honest, I haven't watched every Danielle Harris film released in the last 10 or so years. Much of her stuff is adult-oriented. Some of it I have witnessed. I have, of course, seen See No Evil twice. However, she does this well. She remains a gifted actress. Furthermore, I won't lie to you. I couldn't help but think how awesome it would be if she and Dwight Little got together and made a decent, contemporary follow-up to Halloween 4. And while I was watching this, I couldn't help but notice that she almost looked like Jamie Lloyd from the film. Jamie Lloyd most likely would. I'll just say that the table might be set and that you probably grew up with children and other responsibilities. All right, I'll stop talking about my obsession with demon lords now. Here's where copper comes into play in an odd way. As if they desired to take this copper in order for them to profit from it and enable the child to settle a cell phone bill. It is your narrative. All right, we can agree to that. But ultimately, that brings them to this house, where Bill mostly resides. Nate, the character he portrays, is Natty Knox's son. The issue here, though, is that there were rumors that he passed away in 2008. And all of this is pre-established information. This isn't a dramatic revelation that occurs in the last act. All of this is now established fairly early on. I won't give you any kind of spoilers, but two of the younger characters believe the girl has been abducted after witnessing this assault on Nate. This marks a turning point in the storyline. Then, when they attempt to involve the police, no one finds them credible. And so, that's basically your story at this point. To start with the positives, I think this movie has surprisingly high production value. It seems like one of those, contemporary horror flicks. Based on the trailer, I thought this movie would look pretty horrible, but I was pleasantly surprised by it, especially in the scenes where it's like, at night time. This movie is set during Halloween, which is cool. If you enjoyed Halloween 4, there are a few sweet little references to that film in the film that you will undoubtedly notice. Still, the cinematography is stunning. I would be happy for Dwight Little to return and direct a Halloween film. Now, why not? The last positive I suppose I can say about this film is that, as it should, its last act is its best. Additionally, this film has a really great twist at the very end that I really, really enjoyed. But given what they did with this last act and a few narrative choices, I feel like there could have been a lot more potential, which kind of bummed me out. I would have preferred a different course of action. Let's move on to the negative aspects of this film, as it is undoubtedly far from flawless and can be challenging to watch at first. I wouldn't describe the first 2/3 as dull, but I just found it difficult to become genuinely attached to these characters. First of all, I believe this movie has far too many young characters. Your main characters were present in Halloween 4, if you recall correctly, but they were all fairly well separated. When it was necessary, they crossed paths. However, I believe that keeping characters apart makes it easier for you to become more involved with them in the film. The characters in this one, in my opinion, were too dispersed, making it difficult to follow everyone and their developments. There are also undoubtedly some disposable personalities and some poor acting among all of these characters. Although the acting isn't horrible or anything, I would have preferred one or two more takes of some of these scenes. There are also undoubtedly some poor character choices in this film. In one scene, for example, the young character enters the serial killer's home knowing full well that it is the residence of the serial killer. And how does he proceed? He communicates to the serial killer where he is and what he's doing vocally. "I am aware of you. I'm aware of what you did. What an idiot. Would you really barge into someone's home and begin yelling threats at the murderer? The man would have perished in 2 seconds, It was incredibly dumb. I believe that any individual who enters the home of a murderer will remain silent. Correct. Because, they're trying to find them. That was a stupid move, then. I'm not sure why they acted that way. Furthermore, this movie's killer isn't particularly noteworthy. It's unfortunate that despite the movie's setup for a respectable killer, not much noteworthy happens to him. The kills are rather tasteless. And Halloween 4 had one thing that I really liked. Yes, some excellent kills can be found there. Such as the shotgun murder. Really, there are a lot of amazing kills in this movie, and it's not like that at all. Just your average axe impalement, where someone might get stabbed. Furthermore, I believe that the killing occurs much later in the film. Seeing Robert Englund here is cool. Robert Englund has a small role, but he's not in it. He is undoubtedly successful. However, this film hinges on the youthful cast. To be honest, I enjoyed the main character, Britt the babysitter. There were certain scenes where she reminded me a lot of Daniel Harris when he was younger, which is kind of cool. She also undoubtedly has a lot of screaming power. That's one of the benefits of having characters such as that, you know. Furthermore, Daniel Harris's ability to scream just serves to heighten the suspense in the scene. All in all, folks, I'm going to give this movie a generous rating. I'll rate it as extremely low. Everything is fine. This has, in my opinion, a ton of potential. Although I thought the ending was great, I believe I would have preferred a different movie. That it is set on Halloween is cool. However, I'm thinking back to Cobweb, which was released on Halloween, quite recently. That seems like a far more potent film. Go out there and see Cobweb if you haven't already. Though I believe there are only a few hundred theaters showing it, it's still a really good movie. On the other hand, this one ought to have gone straight to VOD. Alright, that concludes my assessment of Natty Knox. Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section below. This one is likely to elicit a range of responses. Many thanks for that. Fantastic. Have an amazing day.